Business Bootcamp. I'm Robert Theobald, your Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services here at the Arizona Commerce Authority, and your host for today's bootcamp session. What we like to do to start out is if everybody could post up in the chat where you're tuning in from. We like to see where throughout the state and sometimes other states we have participants tuning in from. So go to the chat, post it. We got Sholo, Jennifer. I'll be up in Sholo tomorrow afternoon. Cottonwood, Mesa, Queen Creek, Scottsdale, Phoenix, Tucson, Chandler, Tucson, Tempe, Phoenix, Buckeye, Florence, Tempe, Marana. Excellent. We got a white group of people. Scottsdale, excellent. Oh, Benson, all right. We got down south. Awesome. So let's jump right in and get this going. I know a lot of you here because of the topic today. So as we start up, we'd like to thank all of our community partners. We could not do these webinars without their time, their effort, and their expertise. And we appreciate them being part of the bootcamp series. So for those that are new, the Small Business Bootcamp is designed to help small businesses prepare, plan, and grow their businesses. And we do that through our weekly webinars that we host every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. And then we also do some special session webinars and workshops, and sometimes in-person and online workshops as well as part of the Small Business Bootcamp. So there's a lot of opportunities to get the education to help you grow your small business. One of the great tools with this Small Business Bootcamp is our content library. All of our webinars are recorded. Even our online virtual workshops are recorded. And we share those in the content library, and you can access the recordings of those webinars at no cost. And we also include the slide decks as much as possible for those sessions. So about 99% of the webinars are hosted there. There are a few that we couldn't share because of licensing agreements, but we can access well over 300 recorded webinars and workshops in our content library. And it's a great resource. We have many other great resources to support small business at the Arizona Commerce Authority. Let me go back. Sorry about that. We have our Career Readiness Credential Program, the Arizona Innovation Challenge, Arizona MEP, the State State Trade Expansion Program, AZ STEP, Arizona at Work, and then our Small Business Services programs. One of those small business service programs I like to talk about is the Small Business Checklist. It is an online interactive tool that helps small businesses understand the commonly requested licensing, registration, and compliance requirements at the local, state, and federal levels. It is great for those entrepreneurs that are starting your business or businesses that are looking to grow and expand into new areas or new locations. You can find the information you need there on the checklist. And you got the QR code right there on the right-hand side or the left-hand side, whatever side of the screen it is, to scan and go take you directly to the small business checklist. What you'll also find on the checklist there, the checklist is very in-depth. There's a ton of information, but you will find we have a virtual assistant, Sally, our state and local licensing information virtual assistant. And Sally can help you navigate some of those questions too with some simpler, quicker responses. Or you can go into the checklist for the full course meal response. Also, some other updates to help support you out there, all the small businesses, is we have some information on events that are coming up. One is the Moonshot 5th Annual Rural Arizona Pitch Competition that actually kicked off last Friday in Wickenburg. And there will be a total of 16 different pitch competitions around the state with a big focus on the rural communities. And then there's also the Impact AZ Accelerator. We're going to post links for all this stuff in the chat. So I'll try to write it down. You can click on those links in the chat. The Impact AZ is an accelerator program designed to help minority businesses improve their ability to get contracts and make relationships with the suppliers. And then we have a little guide from the IRS, a complete guide to filing your business taxes if you haven't done so yet. So with that, let's look at our upcoming sessions. The next 3 sessions are understanding inbound marketing, the ABCs of starting your own business. If you're looking to start a business or know somebody who is, have them join that session. We do that with SCORE, and it's a great presentation to help you think through many things of starting your business. And then we have the importance of financial management. We're going to dive into some of the key financial things that you need to know and monitor in your business to help it be successful. So got a great lineup coming up over the next few weeks. We've got a great lineup planned throughout the year. We've got an exciting lineup, so join us for those. But we're all here for today's session. So today we have Jacob Molina. He's a project manager of Botco AI. Botco AI does a lot of great work with virtual assistants and other programs. So we're excited to have Jacob with us today. And so Jacob, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to you and let you take it from there.
Sounds good. Thanks, Robert. All right, let me share my screen here. All right. Awesome.
Yep,
all right,
good.
So looks good. Okay, cool. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. So please don't hesitate. So yeah, unleashing creativity with generative AI, an SMB guide. So just a quick agenda. So we're going to go through introductions. I want to make sure I cover all the terms so we're all on the same page in terms of definitions, have a good understanding of what generative AI and different types of AI. And then I'll go deeper into tools and platforms, the benefits for your businesses, and some case studies, and then into other ethical considerations and how to get started. So just a bit about me quickly. So I'm a marketer by education, but transitioned to product management about 8 years ago. And just so happens that I've been working in conversational AI for the last 8 years as a product manager. And I've been working with large language models for the last 2 years, particularly at Botco AI, and working pretty closely with ACA. And yeah, so I lead product there. So working on all the UIs and different solutions that we build out in the product to better serve our customers. So a quick introduction on the terminologies. So I want to cover 4 first before we go into generative AI. So the first one being artificial intelligence. So AI has been thrown a lot. So I just want to make sure that we are on the same page on this. So AI is a broad term that refers to machines or software exhibiting capabilities that we normally associate with human intelligence. This can include understanding language, recognizing patterns, learning from experience, and making decisions. And then a subset of that is machine learning. So this is a method used to devise complex models and algorithms that lend themselves to prediction. So essentially machines learning from data. And then a further subset of that, we have deep learning. So this uses some techniques called neural networks with several layers. That's why we call them deep. And to better understand and learn from the data it processes. And then we have large language models, which happened to come up just over a year ago. Well, more publicly over a year ago. They've been around for a bit longer, but ChatGPT being the driving force for them, for them being known. So this is a type of artificial intelligence model that has been trained on vast amount of text data, and in some cases also image data and video data now. So the term large refers to the amount of data that it's been trained on, so as well as the model size in terms of number of parameters. And so these parameters are parts of the model that are learned from the data during the training process. And so last thing, so within the world of AI, we can probably categorize models as being either generative or discriminative. So discriminative models learn the boundary between different classes of data. So these models are great at classifying and predicting labels. So essentially answering the question, like given this data, what category does it belong to? So classifying, for example. On the other hand, generative models like ChatGPT learn the actual distribution of each of those classes. And they're not just good at distinguishing them, but they're also generating new data that fits within each category, hence the term generative. Yeah, so what is generative AI specifically? So generative AI is a type of AI that can generate new data or content. It learns from existing data, understands the patterns, and then uses this knowledge to create similar content. So imagine like a painter who studied hundreds of sunset paintings over time. The painter understands the common colors, compositions, and techniques used in these paintings. And now the painter can create a brand new painting of a sunset, even without reference of the image. And that's what generative AI does, but on a digital context. So without getting too technical, how does it work really? So it uses, again, like I said, neural networks and learns from the pattern of data and then generates new data that matches these learned patterns. And there are different types of them. So there's text generation, which is probably the most used one. So if you're using ChatGPT or Claude or other text generation tools, that would be the main use case. So it can be served to write text, poem, different kind of text outputs. Next, we have image generation. And so this one's to create entirely new images or modify existing images. A lot of controversy around these ones. Controversy around all the generation, but particularly image generation because of the data that's been used to train these models, particularly copyrighted data. But yeah, these you can use on tools like DALL-E or Midjourney and some other tools of that sort. We also have music generation. We don't really talk about that one too much, but it's very common, and I'm sure artists are beginning to use it much more to produce content much faster. And then finally, video generation. I don't know if you guys saw, there was OpenAI just released in beta. I think it's called Sora, which is their video generation, which in like just a few words, you can generate pretty sophisticated video output, which is pretty crazy because that's just they're just getting started. And so I can't imagine what that's going to look like by the end of the year. So I'm pretty excited to test that out. But yeah, these are just a few examples. The possibilities for generative AI are like what can generative create is expanding every day. And so as marketers, business owners, it's just exciting to watch the space and explore. So it's really important to test things out. So yeah, I just want to give a quick overview on tools and platforms because there are so many out there. So I said for text, there's different ones like Jasper, Copy AI, Notion, OpenAI. Image, there's DALL-E, Midjourney. Video, you may have heard of Runway or just Descript, and Meetings, Fireflies. Yeah, so there's a lot of tools out there. These are like the main ones for these categories. And there's like I said, there's different categories like text, but there's also code, image, speech, video, 3D. And like I said, these are ever expanding. This is what like the tools and platforms look like a few months ago. But we expect that over time, this is kind of what the landscape is going to look like as it becomes easier and easier to use AI within products. And so I don't want you guys to feel overwhelmed by how many tools there are out there. I think there are a lot of overlapping tools. And so I think it's just a matter of testing, doing your research, and finding the ones that apply to the use case that you want to solve. So back onto your businesses. So on how can we use generative AI for everyday SMB applications? So generative AI can be used on pretty much every single part of your business, from marketing, sales, product development, operations, human resource, customer service, and finance and accounting. So being at Botco, we focus heavily on marketing and customer service. And so Robert and the ACA team brought me in to talk about those specifically. So I'll dive deeper into those. So marketing. Yeah, marketing has a great use case for generative AI. I think it's one of the main drivers for adoption of generative AI. So the first things we noticed was personalization at scale. And what I mean by that is, as a marketer, you want to generate copy, or you want to build messaging for different kinds of personas. You can do this really, really fast using ChatGPT or any other models, and you can be able to run ads that are programmatically different for each of these users using tools that you can stand up with a free trial. And so you can be running these ads the very next day. And so Generative AI is allowed to mix your data, your segments, your persona, your ICP, whoever you're targeting, blended with AI can unlock like custom messaging at scale. The next one is content generation. So that's one of the really obvious ones, because you can now write blog posts, content that otherwise you didn't have time to do, because writing like a significant piece of content that is high quality, that ranks on Google, was time consuming, and sometimes people would, especially business owners, would defect to agencies to be able to help them build that content. But now with ChatGPT and all these generative AI models, you can, when providing the right frameworks or assets, ChatGPT can generate very sophisticated blog posts that are on brand and provide a lot of value for your customers. So I'm not saying that you can just let the AI write it all and then not touch anything, but you can get a very significant part of your blog post written, whether it's just the outline or actual chunks of text within the blog. The next one I like to use is market research and insights. So sometimes Google works really well to like Google certain things, but sometimes I find you don't get the search results that you're looking for specifically, or with the precision. Like if you have something very specific you're looking for, and so you can use like a GPT by consensus, for example, and they have like all the market data, and you can just ask it very natural language questions and get answers about whether you're researching a demographic or researching a specific product. And it can give you very accurate answers because it's sourcing from the data that it has on their websites, but provides it to a conversational experience. The next one is testing and optimizations. So there are a lot of A/B testing tools out there that enable that have used generative AI or implemented generative AI in their suite, so that they can enable you to do optimization testing at scale. And so you don't have to actually compare; they'll just provide the insights up front. So there's a lot less thinking that's happening. Like it's just doing the thinking for you and letting you make be the judge and make the last call on which optimizations you want to perform, or which ad you think is performing better. And so, I mean, the possibilities are endless. And these are 4 use cases that I'm very familiar with, but there are so many more out there. My slide won't change. 1 second. Oh, I went too far. Guess it froze. Okay, here we go. Okay, and the next area I'd like to cover is customer service. So this one I think I'm the most excited about because it has the most potential for disruption. So in the past, you may have dealt with chatbots that might have been underwhelming, just to say the least, because the technology just wasn't quite there, or the level of implementation and training required to maintain a very good chatbot without generative AI. So I'm talking pre-generative AI. Was very difficult and time consuming, because you have to think about all the potential things that somebody might ask your business. And so, sorry, but now with generative AI, it's just you upload data and it's instantly trained on your data. And so you can answer very accurately specific questions. So the first use case for that is AI chatbots for support. So this is something that we do at Botco. We help customers provide their data and then train the chatbot to be able to answer questions about their data. And that happens instantly. So you can imagine having like a 24/7 instantly responsive and always accurate chatbot. The next one is automated response and ticketing sorting. So think about like if you have a live chat support, you may have documentation, but you may have a lot of documentation. And so you may have a live agent that's scrambling to look for the right answer because they may not have it top of mind. And so they can quickly search using natural language and just ask a question and then tweak the answer based on their experience. And the next one is support documentation writing. So that one I'll actually show a demo of that, but I think that used to be very time consuming, writing all the technical or non-technical documentation, whether it's a very technical product service that you need documentation for on your website, or for internal staff that needs training, for example. So just imagine like accurate and comprehensive support documentation, and which is crucial for enabling customers to find answers independently. But Generative AI transforms the creation and maintenance to support support documentation by automatically generating FAQs or how-to guides and troubleshooting articles. Yeah, so best practices for handling those. The first one is data collection and categorization. So it's important to start by gathering the diverse and comprehensive data sets that reflect a wide range of inquiries your customer service handles. This includes support tickets, chat logs, email exchanges, FAQ interactions, get call logs. That's helpful as well. Categorize that data by intent, ideally, and urgency, and to help your chatbot recognize and prioritize customer needs accurately. The next one is data cleansing. So raw data often contains inaccuracies. So if you took just the live chat transcripts, something may have been said by either the user, the potential customer, or the agent that wasn't quite accurate, or was not on topic. And so you need to be able to clean that up to make sure the model is not trained, because if you provide the data and you provide the prompt to say that this is the data you should train on and it's inaccurate, you're going to get garbage in, garbage out type of thing. So it's really important to have that data cleansing. So duplicates or irrelevant information that can confuse the AI model needs to be avoided. So use data cleansing techniques to remove, correct these anomalies, and you can use a model to do that as well. So you could just share with ChatGPT, say like, I've got like these transcripts. Can you just extract the stuff that doesn't make much sense for the topic I'm trying to cover, for example. And then there's ongoing data maintenance. This is really key because as your business evolves and as new documents or new data comes in, new products, services, you need to be able to update the model and update the knowledge on the model on your business. And so customer service interactions evolve over time, obviously, and so it's crucial to regular update and making your training data sets. So incorporate new inquiries, feedback, interactions. You keep your chatbot responses relevant and accurate. And so that regular maintenance also involves reevaluating your data, enriching the data, perhaps to adapt to new trends or changes in customer behavior. So a good example would be a lot of our customers didn't have, or we're in healthcare, so we didn't have that much information about COVID because COVID was never really a thing before. And so they had to create all this new information data sets to be able to train chatbots to be able to answer questions about COVID and other COVID-related issues.
Jacob, you're on mute.
Oh yeah, sorry, thank you. So the first case study is kind of showing like how we do it, particularly at Botco for different businesses. And there's other technology companies that do similar things, but essentially when a user asks a question, and so you can imagine that we have what we call a retriever that will go into the data set, whether that's a Google Drive folder, websites being scraped, and so it'll go into that database of knowledge, the knowledge base, and then search for the paragraph that's most accurate, has the best chance of answering that question. And then we'll formulate an answer to that question in a very specific and contextually relevant manner, because they'll have the context of your whole conversation. The same way when you have a conversation with somebody and somebody says, or with support, for example, an example like, I want to buy a refrigerator, and then the person just says, how much is it? Like usually chatbots won't be able to answer that because we didn't know how much is what. But because you have the transcript in the conversation saying, oh, the person was looking to buy a refrigerator, so probably referring to how much is the refrigerator, that context is maintained and therefore provides much more contextually relevant answers. That's just one example. And that's kind of how we do it right now. And that's how we generate these answers on the fly that are tailored to both the user and the customer's data. And then the next one, I'll actually I'll share a different screen here and I'll show you guys what I mean by this. Cool. So now I'm in ChatGPT and I'll show you like a very concrete example here. So at Botco AI, we have to write product documentation. And so I'll show a support documentation ticket. So I need you to write product documentation / support documentation for a new feature in our product. And this could be applied to a services business or like a nail salon or what. It doesn't really matter because the context will be adapted and ChatGPT will be able to handle it. And so I have this new feature in the product. And yeah, so use the screenshot attached to write it. And so I'll just attach a file here, take a screenshot of our product. Loading up. There we go. So I provided a quick screenshot. So for context, this is our app. So this is like a quick reply. So this is basically the ability for users to go out and set a question with a few options. So for example, I think this is in the context of a city. So here's a few options. We can also ask specific questions. And so we can let our customers create buttons. So like what we call quick replies. And so ChatGPT just basically generated a quick reply. I think my internet timed out here, but a quick reply documentation based on the screenshot I gave and a little context it had because I didn't use a specific GPT. I could have trained a GPT on my Botco AI data and probably gotten a more accurate response. But here I have pretty good start of an outline potentially, or even maybe the whole thing. It's covering defining the quick reply options, adding buttons, save attribute, which are all things that are within the screenshot. So honestly, it's actually pretty accurate. And so, yeah, this actually, it saves me a lot of time because I would have probably had to take time to write this out and it would have taken quite a few minutes to be able to get my ideas together, prepare the outline, how I want to structure it. And it just did all that for me. So saves a lot of time for sure. So I can go back. Yeah. Another part of I want to cover is ethical consideration. So there's a lot of controversy around generative AI for a lot of valid reasons. So I think the first thing that's important is the transparency. So if you are implementing a customer service chatbot, we do with a lot of our customers, we let them know that this is a chatbot they're speaking to, because it can be, for some people, it may be confusing if they don't know that it's not a real agent behind it, a real person. It may be upsetting. And so that transparency. If you're using AI to generate images, product documentation, I mean, product documentation may not be as important, but let's say image to let the users know that these are AI generated images. The other thing is misinformation accuracy. So just we need to like really be careful and mindful of what kind of data we're reading out there, because some of the stuff is it could be misleading, and so we have to be careful and use it responsibly. Obviously, because a lot of bad actors have been using generative AI, and so just make sure you guys understand that. And the last thing is privacy, or second last thing, privacy. So generative AI often relies on large amounts of data to function, and it's important to ensure that this data is being collected and used in a way that respects user privacy and complies with relevant laws and regulations. So you want to make sure you get those things straight so you don't end up with problems using this technology. And yeah, and the final one is kind of like misinformation, but misuse. Like there's like technologies like deepfakes can be used to create misleading or harmful content. You may have seen like Instagram ads of like Elon Musk type looking AIs that sound and look like him promoting products that he's never endorsed. And so these are kind of things that we have to just be careful with and mindful of. So with all that being said, like how do you get started? There's a lot of information, a lot of tools, a lot of stuff in the news as well. So with all these exciting opportunities that generative AI presents for business owners, I think the most important thing is understand your needs and your goals. Like what specific challenges are you facing in your marketing efforts, accounting efforts, even sales efforts? What goals are you hoping to achieve? And so this will guide your approach in implementing generative AI and making sure you look for a specific solution in a more targeted way. Next thing you want to consider is data. So generative AI requires data to learn from. So do you have access to relevant data? Is it clean? Is it well structured? If not, you may need to invest in that data collection preparation. And you might not need to if you're using marketing tools like marketing generative tools. They might perform better if you have data, but they might not require it. Then consider the tools and platforms available. So there are many generative AI tools I showed you, platforms out there. So each with their strength, each with their weaknesses. Some are more user-friendly for non-technical users, which while others may require more technical expertise. So that's for just do your research, look at YouTube, look at different resources out there to find. And all of these, most of these technologies have been reviewed, and so you can get access to pretty in-depth reviews of these different products. I would also say consider seeking expert help if you're not sure where to start or how to implement generative AI in your marketing or sales or operations. There are many experts and consultants that can help that have been playing with these tools and implementing these for different businesses. And finally, the most important thing is I would say, remember to test, learn, and iterate. Implementing generative AI is a journey. It's not a one-time event. So just start small, learn from your experiences, and continuously improve and adapt your approach. That's probably my best advice for this. And so, yeah, getting started with generative AI may seem daunting, but with the right approach and resources, it's something that all small business owners can take on for sure. Yeah, so just last few words here. Generative AI is very powerful. So to be mindful of like how you use it and how what your intent is with it. And then just also be careful and do your research with the products. Make sure that you're using products that are user friendly and that enable a lot of have the features that provide necessary features that provide to so you can reach your goals. And then just honestly just start playing with it. Just play with it. Just test different tools. There's so many free trials out there. Just start testing it and trying different use cases out. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, well, Jacob, we have some questions in here we can go through in the Q&A. The first one is a great question. It says, how can you break into this career field? Are there certification programs to complete?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I would say the best certification, I mean, there are. So Google has a certification on generative AI. I think it's really great, comprehensive. I would say also that playing with the tools and testing and try to solve real world problems with generative AI is probably going to be your best way of learning it. Picking something you're really passionate about or you know really well, and then seeing how different problems in that area can be solved with generative AI is probably your best bet. Because if you can build that expertise, that niche expertise, using generative AI tools will probably give you the best results and the best chance of breaking through. But I would say just about anybody can do it. You don't need a certification specifically. I think it's more about being able to get the output that you desired, the result that you want to achieve.
Excellent. And then we have another one that says, have you used Gemini or Vertex AI from Google?
So I've used Gemini, something we've been testing with. Vertex AI, I haven't. But I have to say that Google, although they have like this most recent scandal about the images generation, lacking context, historical issues, I would say it's come a long way. I think ChatGPT was like by far the front runner, but I think Google is making a comeback. And I mean, it's expected. They have so much data and they have a massive team, so I don't expect them to back down. So I would look for Gemini to be one of the top performing models very soon.
And it says, how does a company leader determine where to start with AI?
Yeah, so as a leader, I would define what are your KPIs, what are your goals, specifically. Like I wouldn't think about it as like, oh, I need to implement AI. It's more like what are the specific goals that we're trying to achieve today, regardless of what's happening in technology, and think about, okay, well, is this problem best solved with AI? That's the first thing, because not every single problem needs to be solved with AI. Sometimes we just try to throw this new hammer that we have at any problem, but it's not always the best fit. So just identifying that problem, making sure that AI is the right solution to solve it, and then going deep into what specific solutions are on the market that can address that specific pain point. I think that's how we address it for our customers when we're building it out. And so I think that's as a business leader, that's how I would approach it. Look at the problem and then identify the right AI solution, because there's a lot of them out there.
Excellent, thank you. And then another one from Bailey says, I see that the free version of Chat GPT doesn't have the attachment feature, like your screenshot example. Are there free options that can interpret images and attachments, or do you have to pay for this feature generally?
Yeah, so Microsoft Bing has GPT-4 running, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure they allow for uploading for file uploads for free. So that would be the one that comes to mind. And yeah, I think Perplexity also. But yeah, there's definitely a few. So if you make a search on attachments for GPT-4 or GPT 3.5, like free trials or freemiums, you'll probably find some. But I think those two are.
All right, and then we have one from Amanda says, do you have any suggestions or tools on formal training for small business owners to dive into this more?
I haven't seen a resource that is specific to Generative AI for small businesses, but like I said, there's the Google certification program will give you a very good understanding of Generative AI in way more depth and breadth than I just did in this presentation. So I would strongly recommend you look at that as a starting point to learn more, and I would categorize that as a more formal training for sure.
Yeah, and Amanda, we also have another webinar in about 6 weeks or so on AI and marketing, and that is actually going to show some examples from a business owner that used it, started diving in and playing with it, so you can see how that person actually used it in a real world scenario. So keep an eye out for that upcoming session. All right, we have another one says, I've been using ChatGPT to write my blog posts, which have been awesome. Can you recommend ideas to help drive traffic to those posts?
I would say ask ChatGPT. No, but I think obviously there's social and any way you can, there's Reddit, Quora. If you can ask that, this is one thing I've seen a lot is people ask questions online, right? So if you have a blog post, you're probably writing this blog post to answer specific questions about your product, services, or some topic, and people ask these questions openly on the web, and so you could probably go on Quora or Reddit and find those questions by filtering and searching, and then posting your article that you wrote to address that question in there, and then you'll be able to benefit from high traffic websites like Quora or Reddit. Yeah, and then more specifically on writing content that will drive traffic, I would say like there's this concept of writing like I forget how it's called, but it's building the biggest building. So the idea is like you find the best blog out there on that topic that you just wrote about. It should ideally be really niche. Take that blog and make it 10 times better. And so you have a benchmark. Is like, what's the best blog post about this topic out there? And you just take that and you, using ChatGPT and your knowledge, make it 10 times better, and then help promote it. But essentially, promotion is super important. But if you have a really high quality piece of content, Google is more likely to index it, and as you get traffic, people are more likely to refer it as well as a resource.
Yeah, and I would even throw a little bit of caution out there. If you're using ChatGPT for all your blog posts, you might start sounding very mechanical. I've been able to identify some blog posts, some applications for some RFPs that we've used for some technical grants that are out there that we've seen, that some of the applications we could tell they were ChatGPT generated just by the way they read, and some other things. So be mindful of that so people don't start thinking that your blog's starting to sound mechanical and doesn't have your personal touch to it. All right, next question. What if you have gone through testing and regular use of generative AI tools, but would like more hands-on examples and projects to practice with your regular useful application?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind is reaching out to your network of business owners, other business owners that have potential challenges that they're dealing with, and offer to build out the solution for them using tools like Zapier, and maybe it's an integration using OpenAI, maybe it's a chatbot or whatever you plan on using these tools for. But I would say reaching out to those businesses and providing value by providing a solution. And I would honestly, if you're struggling to find them, offer it for free. To be honest, try to prove it. And if it's so valuable, you won't have trouble finding other people to either get the solution for free again and write your testimonial in exchange, and then you kind of grow from there, and eventually start charging and provide more value to more people. But I think few people will say no to the opportunity to use a solution for free, even though if it's for testing. They'll be able to they'll be intrigued, and I think generative AI is so interesting to a lot of people, and they don't necessarily know how to apply it, and that's why we do these sessions, right? And that's why we answer these questions. And so if you present yourself as a potential a solution to a specific problem after interviewing that person, then I think that's your best chance of building more knowledge and expertise in that specific area that you want to focus on.
All right, and then we have, looks like one last question in here. It says, are there opportunities to sit down with a mentor advisor to get help with reaching business goals? If you talk about just general business goals and reaching with a mentor advisor, you could reach out to the small business development centers, SCORE, Women's Business Center, maybe even Local First. Some of the chambers of commerce may have programs. Some of the cities throughout the state also have mentor advisor programs as well. I know Tucson does, Mesa does, and others. So there's a lot of help locally for businesses trying to reach their goals. If you're referring to AI, I would just ask those same programs if they have somebody that's experienced with AI. If you're going to work with like Jacob or somebody, you're going to have to pay for it. It's not going to be free consulting.
I'll say this: if you guys want to reach out into my LinkedIn, message me, and you have questions, I'll answer them happily, and we can even hop on a call, and I have no problem with that.
Most people will take some consulting time, but yeah, long term. So, all righty. Well, that's all for the questions that we've had, and I am very. Well, we had another question pop up in there. So thank you, Mike. So we will give everybody back a few minutes back in their day. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. Just a reminder, this again, this session was recorded. We will post the slide deck with the recording in our content library, probably later today or tomorrow. It'll be available. You can go back and review it. And for those that are interested, we do have another AI webinar, bootcamp webinar coming up in the near future. So be on the lookout for that information and the weekly emails that we send out. So you can see when that's set up for. But it is on the calendar to come up pretty soon. So excited about that. Again, Jacob, thank you for being with us today and sharing this information. We appreciate it. And we want to thank everybody for participating. We hope you have a great week, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks for having me. Thanks all.
Bye.